Lesson 2. Last week, you all read Chapters 1 and Chapter 2 of Bud Not Buddy, and this week, we're going to be looking at Chapters 3 and Chapter 4. So let's get it started. Your questions for this week are, your essential question, how can enduring hardships contribute to personal transformation? Last week during the video, you all were to write down the definitions of endure and transformation. The essential question is the question that is going to go with the entire book of Bud Not Buddy, and by the time we finish it, you will be able to answer this question. Your focusing question is the question for this lesson and for the next several lessons, and it is, what makes Bud a survivor? Your content framing question is, what is happening in Bud Not Buddy? This is the question that is specific for this lesson. Last week, you all were practicing writing your 2 seeks, and Miss Rodas and I made sure that you understood that we knew it was not going to be perfect, but we asked that it at least be a paragraph length, okay? And you watched Miss Vinoy's video, and she explained it briefly, but today we're going to dig in a little deeper and talk about what each of the letters represent, and I'm going to give you all an example of what a 2 seek paragraph should look like, using the same content framing question that you all had last week. Okay, go ahead and take out a piece of paper and a pencil because you are going to be having a quiz over what the different letters stand for in 2 seek and what they mean. So just be prepared to have a quiz. What does the TOS stand for in 2 seek? This stands for your topic sentence. Okay, and in the next slide, I'm going to give you all the actual table that you can take notes on that gives you the definition as well as what the letters mean. The first E stands for evidence. The second E stands for elaboration. And finally, the C stands for concluding statement. And with all of these together, we can now write our 2 seek paragraph. This is the 2 seek model that I need you to write on your piece of paper. So go ahead and pause the video and write down this chart into your notes. So you should have written down the topic statement, evidence, elaboration, and concluding statement. The topic statement is where you're going to state your essential idea about a topic. This is where you're going to start answering your content framing question. Okay, and here in a minute, I'm going to show you the example. The first E that's your evidence. This is where you're going to cite evidence that develops your topic, including context. This is where you're going to bring in those direct quotes from the book, and where Miss Vinoy put the page numbers, that's what comes after you include your direct quote that supports your topic statement. Elaboration is where you're going to explain how the evidence develops your topic. This is where you're going to elaborate on the direct quote. You're going to put the direct quote basically in your own words. You're going to explain it in your own words. And then the C for concluding statement, you're going to reinforce your essential idea. So your topic statement and your concluding statement should go together. Okay, they go hand in hand. But the concluding statement, where the topic you're introducing your essential idea, the concluding statement is where you're going to drive it home. You're going to run it into home base. You're going to make it known again, but you're going to use that statement to tie all of it together. So let's go ahead and take a look at the example that I wrote last week. While it's loading. Play some Jeopardy music in the background. Okay, so this is our 2 seek example. Notice that I put, do not use this example as your answer. I am the author of this example, and I will be able to tell that you just copied and pasted it. Okay, so your content framing question from last week, what is happening in Bud Not Buddy? This is the question that you all practiced writing your 2 seek with. Notice that I highlighted the topic statement, the evidence, the elaboration, and the concluding statement. This helps me keep track that I've included all of the components into my paragraph. I have it all there. If you do not like doing this, that is fine. Just make sure that you have every single one of the components involved in your paragraph. So your topic statement, what is happening in Bud Not Buddy is that Bud is an orphan who has been placed into a foster home that is abusive towards him. Now notice that I restated the content framing question. What is happening in Bud Not Buddy? What is happening in Bud Not Buddy is that I restated the question. Evidence. Bud is being punched by Todd and is accused of starting the fight when Todd pointed at his jaw, and Mrs. Amos and me could both see a perfect print in the shape of my hand welted up on Todd's blubbery cheek, found on page 11. Okay, when I put a direct quote into my paragraph, you're going to want to make sure that you use quotation marks to show that this is not your own words. This statement came from the text. Okay. Your elaboration, I'm going to elaborate on that direct quote, put it in my own words. The Amos family believe anything that Todd tells them, and Bud gets punished even though he is innocent. You're going to get another second piece of evidence, okay? So you're going to look for another direct quote that goes along with your topic statement. After Bud is lied on by Todd, he decides to actually hit him back. This causes Todd's mother to punish Bud by making him stay out in the shed all night. My direct quote is, Mr. Amos nudged me and I took a baby step into the shed, found on page 19. Once again, I'm going to elaborate on this direct quote, and notice that I've used a transitional word. Okay, a transitional word is a word that you use to tie in two ideas in two separate sentences to elaborate. Okay, so here's my elaboration. Some examples of transitional words where I'm transitioning from one idea to the next are although, however, otherwise, therefore. These are examples of transitional words. I've used therefore. Therefore, Bud is forced to sleep alone outside in a cold, dark, locked shed for standing up for himself. My concluding statement is the Amos family are mean and abusive towards Bud because he stood up for himself against Todd. Okay. Now that I have all of this lined out, I can put it all together. Okay. What is happening in Bud Not Buddy is that Bud da-da-da-da-da. Okay. This is the exact same thing that I have up here. Okay. I've just put it into a paragraph form. And I've took out the topic statement, evidence, elaboration. I've took out those terms. Now, if it helps you to have those terms in your paragraph, that is fine, okay? But notice how this is longer than 3 words. This is longer than 3 sentences, okay? This is what a 2-seek paragraph should look like, okay? You see that I've included my direct quotes. I've elaborated. I have my concluding statement, my topic statement. It's all in here. Okay, so this is what a 2-seek paragraph should look like. Feel free to pause the video and look through this as much as you would like. Okay, that is my example of a 2-seek paragraph. Now we're going to move on. So for a wrap, you are going to be reading chapters 3 and 4. There will be a quiz on chapters 3 and 4, as well as a quiz over what the components of a 2-seek are. So make sure that if you didn't take notes, you can rewind this video and write down that chart that I showed you all just a few moments ago. If you have any questions, you may reach out to me or Miss Rodas, and this slide will be on our YouTube pages as well as the weekly agenda slides. So you know that everything is due on Fridays, so pace yourselves. Don't get too overwhelmed, but make sure that you're completing your work in a timely manner so that you don't get piles and piles of work that's due on a Friday. Okay? You guys stay safe, keep learning, and let Miss Rodas and I know if you have any questions. I'll see you next